Hey traders, this is Mac Daddy Trader. We are back. I want to introduce you to tradingregime.com again. If you hadn't seen any of my other videos, go ahead and subscribe and watch a couple just to see what we do here. Tradingregime.com is something I came up with because I wanted a dashboard that actually gave me a big picture view of everything that I wanted to do with my trading portfolios. So not just day trading, on NinjaTrader, but also any stock picks, any indexes, anything with my retirement accounts, things like that. So nothing here should be construed as financial advice. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. You don't have to be a quant to think like one. That's kind of the main premise that I wanted to build this site on. We have a new update, which is an Edge Analyst. It's AI infused into the website, so you can go here, and I think you have up to like 100 uses per month to ask it anything on any page. It's trained on the material provided, so it can give you some really great answers. These are just the starter questions, but you can type your own question in here and hit send and it'll give you a legitimate answer. But let's go to the dashboard and I'll show you how you can use this to your benefit. So here we are at the Trading Regime Terminal dashboard, and the big things that you're going to want to look at is your volatility regime, your regime gate, and SPY trajectory gate. Okay, that's for your if you're trading futures like ES, MES, NQ, MNQ, even gold will go down into some areas and identify that later. But for your main index futures for equities, this is going to be your bread and butter. I'll be straight with you. If all you needed out of all of this site, it would be on this page, the first three things I just showed you. And we're going to dig into that and why. So volatility regime gate, straight up, it's going to tell you how crazy the market was the previous close. All right, at the end of the day, it's going to aggregate it and it's going to compare it. Now I have a rolling and a fixed, okay? And the rolling is way more optimal than the fixed. You can have a fixed stress level, let's say above 25. That's pretty standard. Everyone says, oh, 25, that's when, we start to get a little more crazy. We start to see drops a lot more. It's just chaotic. But what tradingregime.com has is a rolling. So it gives you a rolling view of what actually was the stress level in the most recent time versus what was the normal and the calm. So you get a more advanced view as to what the stress level is. For instance, as of Friday close, and this is on June 26, 2026, as of Friday close, the stress level overall would be greater than 19.9. So if we spike above 19.9 on the VIX, then we're in a stressed volatility regime. That's going to increase our drawdown probability of greater than 3% in the S&P 500 in the next 10 days. All right, so that gives you a well-defined edge, and this is historical conditions on that regime within the last, 1,700 trading days, give or take. These are just ways to give yourself a little bit more edge. If you're trading on the day, if you're intraday trading, it allows you to understand what might happen based on historical precedents. Now, this is not trading advice. Do your own research. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and I'm providing you information to help you understand what your edge could be. So, right now we're in a normal regime gate, and that just basically for volatility. I want to make that clear. Volatility, VIX-based classifier, historical base rates. And again, if you want more explanation, just ask your question in here, hit send, and it'll tell you exactly what you need to know if you have any questions. Pretend it's like Mac Daddy right there answering you, but in AI form. Because I worked with AI a lot to backtest everything in here, create a method in which we could forward test, and also do some. I tried to break it as much as I could. The AI might give you some strange answers if you ask it very complex questions, but overall, for the majority of users, it should work pretty well. Um, Next, we have regime gate. When I need to know, hey, I might need to go liquid for a while and hold cash, all right? Because what this is telling me on any given day, if the regime gate is open, the S&P's historical drawdown risk runs about 2.5 times lower than when it's closed. So that means you have a 2.5 times greater probability each day that the regime gate is closed that you're going to have uh, more drawdown risk than you would if it was open. And what that is calculated by is all of these conditions. You get a little heads up into when this might turn a little bit. Right here, when it's closed in this environment that we have, which right now we're still open. But if we were closed, this tells me that there is a 30% chance almost of having a greater than 3% drawdown in the next 10 days. Now, that is so valuable. If you are trading longs when the regime gate is closed, whether that's intraday, daily, weekly, monthly, long term, we we're trading against the probabilities at that point. We're trading against a 2.5x lower than average probability. And lastly, we have a quality score. So this gives you your cap index quality for rotations, sector health rotations. Basically, everything green is outperforming the S&P. Everything red is underperforming the S&P. Same here, foreign equity health. Everything above is outperforming the S&P. Everything below is underperforming the S&P. So we have a trade universe here. These are independent of any of the edge scores that we have. However, these are great if you want to marry them up with this seasonal macro calendar. It gives you descriptions of what's going on at what month and what to be wary of. For instance, we did have some volatility in June, a lot of volatility actually. We had some drops, some big drops just going, further and further down and then, hitting higher highs all in the same month. So we have some post earnings exhaustion coming up in July. So be mindful of that. It's a high probability of that happening mid July. Sell the news, all that kind of thing. Again, not financial advice. It's just, probabilities of these things happening on a cycle basis. So keep that in the back pocket. It's always good to have. And that's pretty much where you can use on a intraday basis. That's really helpful in the short term, just tactical plays that really help you understand what your drawdown risk is, especially if you're trying to trade, futures contracts on a prop firm, that kind of thing. And just anything like that. Also on a large scale, this keeps you out of the drawdown a little bit better than just random EMAs or anything like that. So keep that in mind. There's some really cool applications. Don't forget the AI Edge Analyst. It's really helpful. If we go down to the bottom, I do have a few reviews that are already in the site. These are taken from Discord and DMs. I don't have the names on here for privacy, but they're really happy about it. That's my little statement right there. And you can just check all this out. If you like it, go ahead and just leave a thumbs up at the very least. If it's not something, no worries. because I know, at least for me, sometimes I'm not in the right state of mind to accept something that someone has shown me. It takes me a couple of days to really, you know, chew on it and come to grips with what I think is worth my money to offer in exchange for something valuable. So I understand that too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.